Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Futbol on the Full Heel Network. I am Frankie, currently joined by Andres, as usual. Johnny will be joining in a second. Rafa is in the back, behind the keys as usual. Thanks for joining us once again if you're joining us live. Thanks to everybody who checked out last week's episode and shared the link or left us a like. What's up, Johnny? Welcome. We just started.
What up, fellas?
I was thanking everybody for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You can hit the little bell icon so that you can get the heads up notification when we go live. Really excited to talk about football today because a lot of things to be talking about, but a lot of really exciting things to be talking about in particular. First and foremost, Liverpool are the champions of England for the first time in 30 years. Historic achievement.
They did it, dude.
They did it.
We were talking about it all season. Remember when we started this shit?
It was an eventuality. It was inevitable. But after they defeated Crystal Palace and Man City lost to Chelsea,
it's a celebration, bitches.
It's a celebration in Liverpool, an illegal celebration because people went out and completely disregarded social distancing and just wilded out in the streets of Liverpool in celebration of this. Right, is what people usually do after sports, big sporting events. But yeah, it's a party in the UK right now in Liverpool. Historic season. They went on a crazy unbeaten run between last season and this season.
Yeah.
A lot of things that can be said about it, right? So we'll just get right into it with this. What sticks out to you guys the most about this championship for Liverpool? I'll start with you, Johnny.
I think I had thought of a lot of things because this team is easily one of the best teams of all time. But to answer your question, I think the best word that describes this team is just resiliency. Resiliency to lose last year by 1 point to City while getting 100 points. I know this year they didn't get transfers, and I kind of counted them out, But the team stayed strong, showed they showed what they were about, playing real direct football, it's crazy how Klopp assembled it. And then this year they went on a complete tear. From last year to this year, they picked up where they left off from getting 100 points and being 1 point behind from being champions. And they were just determined to be champions this year,
Yeah, and they steamrolled the competition. What about for you, Andres? What sticks out to you about this Liverpool championship?
Johnny pretty much said what we've all seen all season. I think the fact that they won so many games that they probably should have tied or maybe even lost, just out of sheer willpower, that was pretty impressive. Everyone kind of took a jump as well. Good to see Trent Alexander-Arnold, become a really good player. Salah, definitely not a one-season wonder as he showed. Mane, all the players really, even Henderson. I'm surprised Henderson became, such an important figure for the club, and that was good to see. Especially since legendary players like Gerrard, were captains before, and Henderson kind of just took that and went with it.
That's right. Jordan Henderson is a Liverpool title-winning captain, right, for the Premier League. I think to me, what stood out about it is, again, just how, I don't want to say mechanical, because mechanical almost makes it sound bad, right? Like robotic. But everybody, like Johnny said, just knew their role. They knew what they had to do. Klopp just had them so well drilled, and they were so bought into the system and so familiar with what to do in every situation. They were just so well prepared physically and mentally. And I guess the other thing that really impresses me really with all of Klopp's team is just really the unity, right? We pass around the Liverpool videos all the time, right? Because they're funny, right? The little coffee, right? everybody like on the Zoom calls during the pandemic, right? And that really comes through on the pitch and off the pitch, right? And even if it's been 30 years, Liverpool has still maintained being one of the top clubs in England, right? So, I mean, I think the other big thing to me is that they spent 100 million less than what Barcelona spent in the last 5 years and been able to win a Champions League in the Premier League, right? So I can keep on going, really, because the other thing that we can talk about too, that I will ask you guys now, there's still 7 matches. They won the Premier League with 7 matches remaining. So what does Klopp do now? Do you rest the key guys? Because the Premier League the 2020 to 2021 season starts in mid-August, right? So as soon as this is done in about a month, players have like a couple weeks before they're playing again. So does he rest the key guys and get ready to try to maybe repeat? Does he play, the youngsters like that kid with the bun, Harvey Elliott, right? Does Minamino get some more time? I'll start, since I started with Johnny last time. What do you think, Andres? Do they go for the records? Because they can still catch Man City's points record, right? They can beat it. They've already tied the most consecutive unbeaten streak, right? Or win streak, or something like along those lines, right? The 18-match unbeaten streak.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is Liverpool gonna do besides not win, bro? I mean, that's the real question. They're gonna go for the records. They're that close. It's within 107 points, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
If they win the remaining matches, 104 maybe. Yeah, they're going for the records, and they'll probably give time, for a lot of youngsters, maybe like a preseason type season, end of the season for them. We'll see what they do with transfers, but still, the window's still open, so we'll see how they move. But I'm expecting all W's for Liverpool moving forward. Besides the Man City game, but yeah.
Oh my God, this guy. I think it doesn't matter, really. I don't think that's really in the players' heads, especially this drilled of a team. Like, I don't think most footballers, at least I want to think, they don't go out there and think, I want to break these records. They just want to win trophies, I think at the end of the day, the Liverpool team is just going to go out there, and if they win, whatever. But I think it gives them opportunity, how you said, Frankie, to play some of their younger guys, give some rest to their players that they know they're going to need. That as soon as the season starts, this kind of catapults them to have a real good start and another great year as they solidify themselves this year as the best team in the world, easily.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue that when they won the Champions League, they won the Premier League the way they did by a margin of at least 21 points, right? At least. I mean, it could be less afterwards, but with 7 matches remaining, it's just, again, very, very impressive, right? Especially considering, and I know Andres has brought this up, where we had 2 seasons where City were absolutely dominant, right? Maybe not last season as much because Liverpool was only lost by 1 point, right? But considering all the money being spent and then how well Pep has done there with the team that he has, I think that definitely adds to it, right? And I think I agree with you, Johnny. I think they, as cool as I think it would be to get the points record, right, and try to keep on more goals and all of that, I think they got to think long term, right? And these guys played well into the summer last year for the Champions League, right? And the Klopp style is very physically taxing, right? So you got to believe that some of these guys are starting to feel some wear and tear a little bit. So I might just, focus on that and really focus on maybe trying to mount the next season, because I believe that, and I don't want to take away from what Liverpool did this season, but Liverpool had like a really good season and then everybody else had bad seasons, right? So like they still did really well, but the gap probably should have been half of what it is, right? So I think Chelsea's going to make some steps. United's going to take some steps. City's still going to be there, right? Barring a bunch of their players leaving because of Champions League ban or whatever. I think it's going to be tough again next year. So they definitely should keep that in mind. That being said, we had some.
Who's been their best player all year then for Liverpool? Because easily, I mean, player of the year has to come from Liverpool. Manager of the year has to be Klopp. You know. So, but who's it gonna be? What's up with that face?
I don't think player of the year comes from Liverpool.
For England?
Yeah, I think it's.
You need to shut up.
I think Kevin De Bruyne makes a pretty good case for player of the year for EPL.
For assists, but they're gonna finish maybe with an FA Cup. They've won the League Cup. They might win the FA Cup, and they could win like a treble of cups technically if they win the Champions League. So, but I mean,
isn't it for the Premier League?
Yeah,
not for the FA Cup.
The Players Association, like player of the year. You think? Man, that's tough because I think, Andres, you probably made a really strong case for Henderson earlier in one of our episodes, right?
I said Henderson was Liverpool's most important player. I never said he should win player of the year.
Okay. But, I mean, I'm saying, like...
I say he will. Him, I think all the best players of the year have been on the Liverpool squad. I think Henderson has been better. Alisson has been better. Van Dijk has been a beast. And so has Mane.
And that's
no
not
penalties.
I think KDB is Kevin De Bruyne is a valid like suggestion, right? Because he might break the Premier League assist record. I completely agree, and I think he should be in the conversation. But I also agree with Johnny, like with the way they won and just the team they had. You know, I would probably say one of Alisson, Van Dijk, and I don't know which forward, honestly. Mane maybe this year, but quietly Salah's got 16 or 17 goals again too. So I don't know. That's a tough pick. That's a tough.
Well,
choice.
You left out Henderson, but I think Andres made my point for Henderson throughout this podcast. Where he's just been the glue in that mid. That kind of when they had a little rough patch and kind of what took him off form for the Champions League was when he was out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It did coincide with that.
But yeah, Andres does. I mean, De Bruyne. I mean, they're not going to win the league, and the players for the best player, at least for me, would be from Liverpool. But that was just a quick question, I guess.
And then the rest of the league, moving on from Liverpool, because again, I think we can go on for hours and hours. But the important part here is they've wrapped up the Premier League, first time in 30 years. They are now 2 league trophies behind Manchester United for the most successful English club domestically. Or actually, that might be all trophies. No, league championships. United's got over 20, and this is now 19 for Liverpool. So it's close there. Now for the rest of the Premier League, specifically the Champions League spots, it's getting really close. It's getting really hot.
Yup.
So
it's getting good.
Just to give you guys an update, Leicester City is still on 3rd place with 55 points. Chelsea is in 4th place, 1 point behind on 54. So Chelsea can very likely still get into better positioning with 3rd possibly. United, although they've played one more match today, they won again against Brighton. Bruno Fernandes with the 2 goals. They're on 52, tied with Wolves, who's also played one more match than some of these other teams. So Wolves and United are currently tied right now on 52. Now, in 7th place, we have Spurs with 45 points. And then things start to drop off to where I have to highlight that the Gunners, Arsenal, are 10th place on 43 points. So I think it's safe to say Arsenal is not qualifying for Europe, all things considered.
I don't think Tottenham is either, but
yeah, Spurs is got some separation there now. They're currently 7 points behind Wolves now, so it's looking tough for them. So I ask you guys, who finishes 3rd, and who gets 5th? Is it United or Wolves? Let's start with who finishes 3rd. Can Chelsea gonna finish third, or can Leicester maintain? What do you think, Andres? We'll start with you.
I don't know. I was kind of hesitant to think that Leicester would drop, but they haven't really picked up the form they had throughout this. And Chelsea surprisingly has won a couple big games. I wasn't expecting them to. They won 3 in a row. Good. Looks like they'll probably end up third. But just and then that's United and Wolves. They and we're now gonna come down to differential, and Messi probably has a little bit more firepower up top.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see too, because Man City might get that ban too, right? So fifth again, just a reminder, might be crucial, right? Because that last Champions League spot in England might go to the 5th place team. Johnny, I think I know what you're going to say about who finishes 5th, United or Wolves. So let me start with the question. I don't know what your answer is going to be. Who finishes 3rd, Chelsea or Leicester? Or who's in the prime position?
I don't know. I think it turns into an all-out battle, how you said, from 3rd all the way to 5th. I can see all those teams. I don't know. I think the question is, will Leicester drop more points? And I think probably yes. Even though they had the best defense all year, and lately they've been just, I don't know, not really in it. Chelsea's right on their heels, and they just came off the City high. They beat City convincingly. Players are picking up form. And I think Chelsea can finish 3rd. And I wouldn't be surprised if Leicester is right there battling with Man U and Wolves. So I think it's tight right there.
I will, and even say then,
that my bad. And it's even hard to say Chelsea is convincing 3rd, because Man U is on a run too now. Everyone is. The EPL is hot right now for all these spots, all the European and Champions League positions. But go ahead, Andres.
Has a harder schedule left though than United, Everton, does. Burnley. Wolves has to play all those things. Whereas I think the hardest opponent for United, City, which is the last game.
Yeah. So, yeah, actually, good point, too. I hadn't looked at the strength of the schedule, right? But some teams are going to have some more challenging run-ins than others. But I think, again, I think we all agree that it's not looking good for Arsenal and Spurs there. Harry Kane is back in the goals, which is a positive, right? But the form of all the other teams we just mentioned above them is trending up, right? I don't see, United or Chelsea dropping that many points so that Spurs gets back into it. And then briefly, the only other thing I'll mention about England, or that we can briefly talk about for England, the FA Cup quarterfinals were held this last weekend. We had a couple of B teams. I know Chelsea and some others played some squads that weren't full strength. So at the end of the month, or is it sometime in July?
It's in the middle of July.
Yeah,
in the middle of July. 18th,
17th and 18th. Thanks, Johnny. There you go. The FA Cup semifinals, and they set up quite nicely for clashes between some big teams. We have on the one side Manchester City versus Arsenal, and then on the other side, Chelsea is going to meet Man City for the 4th time this season. I think we can. Yeah, go for it.
Isn't it Man United?
I'm sorry. Did I say Man City? Yeah, Man United versus Chelsea. They've played each other 3 other times. Man United winning all of them so far. Manchester City plays Arsenal. City just beat Arsenal upon the restart, so I expect that result to be the same, setting up what I believe will be an all-Manchester FA Cup final. which I think I usually don't get super excited for the FA Cup, right? Like, I understand it's a historic competition and it's been around for so long, but I think that definitely adds some intrigue, right? Some flavor there. I'll definitely check it out. A Manchester Derby for a cup final, count me in. Would you guys agree that it's set to be United versus City, or do you guys see Chelsea? Because I mean, I think we could all agree too that Arsenal probably needs this cup the most, right? To make a success out of the season. But I also don't see Arsenal getting past City. So what do you guys see the final setting up as?
I'll take Chelsea City. I don't know. I like Chelsea. How you said they haven't won all year against them. Maybe they'll win, but I'll write off their high. You know that they've been playing really good. Man U has too. That's why these matchups are really intriguing because of that. I think they're a little closer than what we think, but the Chelsea Man U tie. I think that's 50-50. It's either or, and then City should be favorites to win everything. But I think how you said teams are gonna want it, and it's a cool tournament actually to have right now.
Yeah, you're right. I'll take it over nothing or over baseball. What about you, Andres? Who do you think sets up for the FA Cup final?
I got the Derby. I got City versus United. I think Arsenal, in order to beat City, and Chelsea, I don't think they're really too much of a big deal, but I think in the tournaments, big stage, and I think in Europa as well, they probably have a little bit more experience in that. I think it's going to set up for the Derby.
Excellent. So yeah, keep your eye on that. We'll bring it up in a couple weeks' time as it approaches too. But again, like Johnny said, there's a lot of jockeying for position for European football there in the Premier League. We know who the champion is, but everything else we have to decide or has to be decided. So definitely keep an eye on that because it's heating up. Next, we'll move to Italy, talk about some calcio. Since we last went on, Juventus has been hot. Juve has won every single one of their Serie A matches. They're 3 for 3. Impressive stat, guys. Or maybe not impressive, but definitely relevant. Dybala and Ronaldo have each scored in every Serie A match. They started slow in the Copa, right? They didn't look super convincing against Milan. They lost the final to Napoli, but they're looking strong, at least in the league. And now they're up 4 points on Lazio. Last week, it was just the 1 point, but then I talked up Lazio and got excited, and then they proceeded to lose against Atalanta, and it was actually a thrilling game. Lazio started 2-0, and it finished Atalanta 3-2. Quite a response there from Atalanta, which is quite a high-scoring team and one of the most entertaining in European football right now. So they threw a wrench in things here, and Juve got some separation. Inter tied Sassuolo last week 3-3, giving up a last-minute equalizer, but they bounced back by beating Parma 2-1. So what I also didn't realize, guys, last week is that there's still 9 matches at least for these teams in Serie A. So I admittedly already kind of written Inter off, but now they're only 4 points behind Lazio. Well, 7 points, but they have a game at hand. So they're very likely 4 points behind Lazio and a total of 7 behind Juve with 9 matches left. So it can still,
still a race.
It's still a race there. So are you guys more confident in Juve that you see Dybala and Ronaldo scoring now? Is that a good sign for them, or are there still concerns for you? How about you, Johnny? What do you think?
Well, did you see the goals today?
Yeah, Ronaldo's. Yeah, of course. Ronaldo scored a rocket from outside the box. I didn't know that was him for a second. I had to do a double take.
And then
I was like, yeah.
And then Dybala did a good dribble in the box and also finished low into the corner. And then Costa did a pearl of a goal too, straight.
Yeah, he had a
upper 92 with his left foot. But I think the important thing is what you said, that Cristiano and Dybala have each scored in their last 3 or 4 matches, and it's kind of starting to click on the offense for them. But I think they still show like that mid is not what it should be, and sometimes if they face a good team, like a good opposition, they only go as far as their individual talents go, because it's easy to link up against a team that's not. And I'm not trying to say not competitive, but not as good on defense or something like that. And then it's another thing to try to go in to the champions or like, I don't know. I think they still have to play Lazio. So that will really be the game of the season. It's turning out to be.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Andres? Are they going to hold them off with this firepower, or do they still have issues in the midfield like we've talked about a lot?
No, I think they're trying to still. The midfield issues are still there, but I think they've kind of found a way to get Dybala and Ronaldo scoring. And a lot of it is Bernardeschi and, Douglas Costa, creating and taking players one-on-one out there. Their defense has kept like 5 clean sheets, 6 clean sheets. So, I mean, that's always a good sign for a title challenge. And I think it's going to come down to that Lazio game. Lazio loses, Juve essentially wraps up the league there. But that's the best way Lazio is going to catch up to Juve at this point. They're in a iffy form, so if they drop points, they can shoot themselves in the foot.
They had to come back today, right? From 1-0 down. Lazio came back against, I can't remember, but
yeah.
But they're I didn't know it was that many games left. How Frankie mentioned, and if Inter has a game at hand, maybe they'll catch some a good run. Pretty entertaining. A lot of rumors too of players going over there, and a lot of stuff in Italy. Inter won off of 2 headers though, and they needed a man down to kind of win. So they really grinded that one out. It might turn out to be an important game as this final stretch starts.
Yeah. And then Atalanta, of course, still kind of knocking on the door too. Atalanta can very potentially catch up to 3rd place, right, or catch up to Inter there. So, and yeah, like you said, we're a lot of interesting talk out of Italy. We're hearing about looks like Achraf Hakimi is going to be joining Inter from Madrid. For those of you guys who might be a little bit confused, Achraf Hakimi is a Real Madrid player who had been on loan at Borussia Dortmund for the last 2 seasons and played really, really well there. So now he's earned himself a move to Inter for, sounds like 40 million euros at least. So Inter making some moves. We're hearing about Napoli potentially buying 2 promising players from Lille in Ligue 1 in France, right? A defender named Gabriel and a Nigerian winger, Oshiman. So a lot still going on in Italy. So and a lot to play for. So definitely keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you guys updated as things progress. Again, I'm kind of teasing, but Ronaldo scored a banger today. I'm so used to seeing him scoring from the PK spot or being a lethal penalty box finisher. But the goal he scored today is reminiscent of those young Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United days, where he would just rock a shot from 30-plus yards and it would just bang into the net. So if you haven't seen it, it's definitely YouTube-worthy. Now, a couple interesting matchups from Serie A this weekend as well. We'll bring it up again when we move on to our picks section at the end of the show. Before we get to picks, want to talk about the other competitive league going on right now, La Liga in Spain, España. Real Madrid keep winning, solidifying their place as the top team in Spain since the restart. They beat Mallorca this weekend. They also beat last place Espanyol with I guess, magic from Benzema with the back heel pass for Casemiro to finish. So they stay clear and they keep picking up points, whereas Barcelona are doing the opposite and they keep dropping points. Since we last went on, they've tied twice. Celta Vigo tied them 2-2. They dropped the lead there, and they probably should have lost. Nolito missed a clear scoring opportunity at the end of the match that probably could have given Celta Vigo the win. And then they proceeded to play Atletico Madrid today in what was an important matchup, a match that we saw 3 penalties, one of which was taken twice. Controversial. Honestly, they were weak. All the penalties, all 3 of them, I think, for this match today were soft. Now, I will admit to having a little bit of Barcelona bias, but I think every single one, the Vidal foul in the box, soft. The Semedo foul in the box, soft. Even the foul against Barcelona for Messi to get the PK and score his 700th goal, y'all. Messi got to 700, which he scored and converted brilliantly with a Panenka. Soft. What the hell is going on with the refereeing or VAR in Spain right now? Because Real Madrid, we've already talked about getting all these beneficial calls. Now we're seeing 3 penalties in this match, which is an important match. Again, I'm not trying to make excuses because Barcelona should not have drawn this match. But I think they have effectively played themselves out of the title race now with these 3 draws in the last week or so against Sevilla, against Vigo, and now against Atletico. They play Villarreal next. But I think, like Piqué said and Setien said, it's going to be really tough for Barcelona now. Madrid can drop points, but they're in the driver's seat. And they're finding ways to win without a consistent forward. And again, no disrespect to Benzema, but he was on 14 goals for the longest, right? We're getting goals from defenders like Sergio Ramos. So Madrid is completely liable to drop points, but I think Barcelona is even more liable to dropping points. So I'm done venting about that. I'll shift it over to you guys on this. Who do you think? Does Madrid got this? Are they clear now? They have the head-to-head. What do you think?
I mean, it doesn't look good for Barcelona at all. There's problems all season. Managerial headlines, Setien is fighting with the club or the players aren't listening to him. You got Messi fighting with Griezmann. It looks bad. It looks bad when, Griezmann doesn't play in a very important game for the title race and he comes on in the 87th minute. I mean, is that Setien not knowing game management? Like, that's basic game management, I feel like. And I don't know what he's thinking or what he sees in his players.
To further your point even more, right? They needed a goal. Griezmann didn't come out until like the 87th. Ansu Fati didn't come on until the 85th. He didn't make any changes till there was like 5 minutes left, right? So I'm going to agree with you and say it's so many factors, right? Go ahead.
I'm gonna be daring to say that there's probably some player mutiny going on. They probably don't want to play with Griezmann. They're probably picking their own team at this point, and Setien has no say, in the dressing room. So, I mean, there's a lot going wrong. There's a lot of negativity. I thought this game was gonna be like, you know what? If we want the title, we gotta be Atletico, and I just saw a lot of slow, predictable play that they. A game where they were up and they lost, like in the Sevilla game. And when you have those characteristics and, late in the season, you're going to lose the title. So I think this is it for Barca, and Madrid is just going to, find a way.
Yeah, you mentioned the reports of a bust-up with Griezmann, and then we also saw in the match against Celta, right, at the end where during the water break, the players went and approached the touchline, and Setien and his assistant were trying to give Messi and some other players some instructions, and what it pretty much looked like is the players like turned around and ignored the instructions, right? So I would agree. There's not a whole lot that's looking positive other than the recent performances of Ricky Puig, who's now started 2 matches in a row and looked pretty comfortable, I think, all things considered. But yeah, Johnny, what do you think? Would you agree that Madrid is it's theirs to lose now?
Yeah, I think what we said is what's going on. Madrid has the more depth. They're finding ways to win without getting goals necessarily from their forwards. Benzema scores and assists. He's their best playmaker. He's probably their best player. They have a real. They also play slow like Barca, but they at least are on it on defense. Like they're not giving up no easy stuff. Or like Courtois has been a standout goalie all year. So I mean, when you look at it, Madrid is a simple team, but that's been enough to win the league this year. Just a simple team that can get results, because the league has been just. I mean, I don't want to shit on it completely, but it hasn't been what I was expecting of it. At least,
Yeah.
Point being, like today's game, the Atletico Barca game, I thought I thought it was going to be an exhibition of fine football, and it turned out to be one of the weirdest games ever. There's literally 4 penalties. VAR saying that there's penalties, or confirming the ref decision on the softest penalties, how I would agree with you. And then redoing a penalty because the goalie came off the line. This game had like collusion written all over it, with the refs like just giving out penalties. And it's been doing that since the restart, with Madrid getting calls, Barca getting calls. Like, it's just like the VAR has turned into something that they're kind of manipulating. But whatever, we can talk about it. We should, because it's really starting to, again, all season has been a topic of debate. And it's just like, instead of it helping and making stuff easier, it still leaves the same controversies. But then we get to Barca, and it's just, again, this reminds me of Valverde, where not in the league, but in the Champions League, he would put out the wrong lineup. And here it doesn't help that the board goes to his house to tell him that, yo, we might not even want you. And like, why would they do that right before the game, you know? Usually when there's all this pressure on games, it's not good. So that's just super bad management. And it comes off the week that we've been hearing all the Pjanic deal with Arthur. And they still don't play Arthur, so it's like Barca don't even need him. So, right, who cares? Ricky Puig, I don't know how you say it. He starts in the middle. He has shown a good verve out there, like a good eye for just being a good player. He's just kind of small, but he's not afraid to get in there and just, control the mid and make something happen, which is really what this team has been lacking. And today they played him behind Messi and Suarez. He played like in a midfield diamond. And it was just like, what is Seaton doing, Like, it didn't help either that Atletico really didn't come out to try to win the game. I don't know what they really came out to do. They were just kind of doing they were doing what they're doing all season, just kind of playing out there, Good at defense, whatever. Because the first goal was super strange, too. Remember where Costa has an own goal? Yep. Off of a play that, like, literally the exact same thing happened the play right before. It was just a crazy, weird, ridiculous game. And then I want to point out Messi scored a 700 goal, how you said. But Barca just dropping too many points. They'll go to sleep today only one behind the league, behind Madrid. But Madrid plays Getafe on Thursday. And how you said, they get separation if they win that game, where they can drop a game. And they have the better schedule. It looks like Madrid has maybe gotten a little bit more of a push, but because they don't have they have the Champions League to play in, but they're down. So this is really, really their focus, and you can tell. Whereas Barca, you would think this is really, really their focus as well, but you can't tell, because the club is in complete disarray right now.
Yeah,
from top to bottom. Yeah.
Top to bottom, yeah.
You know, how are you expecting to win the league when there's just so much other noise going on? It really affects the players, I think, and they're showing it out on the field. They're showing it out. They're showing it every week. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that you bring a good segue to the last thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm about to get heated. So you're talking about just shambles, right? They're just top to bottom institutional crises at Barcelona. And I think the latest one, and the one that's really got me ticked off is what you mentioned, the Arthur for Pjanic deal. So for those of you guys, it's been rumored for 2 weeks now, maybe even longer. Arthur had even come out and said that he didn't want to leave, that playing at Barcelona was a dream for him and he wanted to make it work. Arthur's been there for 2 seasons now. This season, he's been mostly hurt. So I will see this before I continue. I will agree with things that Andres has said and with people who say that he stagnated this year, because he did. He didn't noticeably improve. He didn't get a lot of game time. He was hurt, right? But given that he played so well in his first year and then won the Copa America with Brazil, I think they should have exercised a little bit more patience with him. Right now, there's also the reality that we are in a COVID world, right? So these clubs have taken a financial hit. We know for a fact that this Arthur for Pjanic move is not a sporting move. This is all about finance. This is all about having a profit on paper by July 1st, which is the end of the financial reporting, right? So that they can report a nice little profit, right, for both clubs, right? Both clubs are going to report a profit at the end for this year, right? Now, exact numbers vary a little bit, but essentially it was really weird because it wasn't exactly like a swap either. Essentially, Barcelona bought Pjanic for just over 60 million, and then Juve bought Arthur for 72, well, around the same price, like in the upper 60s, plus an additional like 12 million. So essentially, all this does is really change the books around, right? It's all about finance, and like I said, making it look like there's a profit, and also kind of spreading money around in relation to contracts, right? So now Barcelona, Pjanic's contract or whatever will count in as a profit for this year, but then they can spread that out over the next 4 years so that it looks like there was more profit than there really was. Right now, I don't want to keep going into the finances as much, but that's my biggest problem. Not only are Arthur and Pjanic similar players, so nothing I think changes in a sporting sense, but Arthur was younger. I can only see him improving. Pjanic is 30 years old now, and coming off a poor season. Granted, Sarri and most of the midfield, Sarri ball, and trying to learn it has caused problems for the entire Juve midfield. But I don't see the value in getting a player with similar attributes who's 7 years older just so that you can turn a profit. I'm a firm believer that football clubs should not be run as as businesses, because what ends up happening is owners pocket that profit, right? The Glazers, the owners of Manchester United, Man United fans hate the Glazers because over the course of their ownership so far, they've taken over $1 billion out of the club that they've pocketed. You don't think Man United could use those $1 billion right now? Right? So part of my problem is the principle of football should not be a business like this. Football is about winning titles, right? Bartomeu doesn't need to be worrying about turning a fucking profit. He needs to be worrying about winning another Champions League, right? And again, I don't see how Pjanic now helps them win another Champions League. We add more age and less dynamism to the midfield that has a ton of age and no dynamism. He's a gifted passer. I'll give him that. He's also really good in dead ball situations. But who takes the dead ball situations at Barcelona? Messi. You think he's going to take free kicks over Messi? Hell no. Hell no, right? So I'm just at a loss, guys. I understand the financial aspect of it or why it would be done. I just don't understand why it would be done, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to, Andres, again, and I don't mean to take this out on you or trying to make it seem like you're the one drawing my rage, right? But you brought up some interesting points as to why it works out and you don't see it being a big deal or a loss for either club. So why don't you shed some light on that?
Well, first of all, I thought I was injury prone.
Hold on a sec. I can't really hear you right now. Yeah. Try again.
Good?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I said Arthur was, in my opinion, a little frustrated. He showed promise, but I think myself and a lot of Barca fans are just looking for that next Xavi. And I think he wasn't it. He was a great passer. He controls the tempo. He doesn't lose the ball. But in terms of what Xavi brought to the game, it was a lot more intellect and positioning. I didn't see that from Arthur. I thought Arthur had a great pass rate, player, pass the ball, now really keep circulating, and you have something like that on the team in De Jong. So just drop off on that back, and it's probably the same things Arthur does, and can probably create creation. I mean, I'm not mad about it. Yeah, the potential that Arthur could become world class. I mean, if he knows Barcelona, it might be a point where he can come back. The team is blowing up. I mean, after this season, and Xavi back, they might say project might start at zero. This team looks old. It probably won't be old for long. So I'm expecting a lot of players to leave. A lot of fresh blood come in, which means a lot of years of rebuilding. So
cool. And those are, and I gotta agree. As much as I hate it, you do bring up valid points, right? Pjanic, for all the flaws that I might think he has, does bring experience, right? And like you said, years of experience in France, in Italy, for his national team, right? He's a classy player, and he brings experience, right, to that midfield, which they might not have in a De Jong, in a Arthur, in a Ricky Puig, right? So I will say that those are valid points, but to counter that, I think one of my, and who knows, right? I just don't see how bringing in this 30-year-old guy is helping a rebuild, right? When his contract is going to be 4 years. I mean, crazier things have happened, and it could be that he doesn't stay the whole 4 years, but then why spend all this money on him? It's just a lot of things that confuse me. And again, the root of it is that it wasn't done for sporting reasons. I need these people to focus on winning a freaking title again, and not worry about, securing sponsorships and, making themselves look good or trying to leave a legacy of being the richest, board of Barcelona. But yeah, the problem in the midfield is they're slow and predictable, and I think Pjanic brings a little bit more of that. I mean, again, I will also admit to having borderline pessimistic tendencies, right? But I've tried, because I've been trying to wrap my head around it for as much as we've been reading about it now, and there's no positive angle for me to really, from my perspective, where I can just be like, maybe Pjanic shuts me up, right, and they win the Champions League next year, but I highly doubt it, right? To me, I don't see Barcelona successful again until Bartomeu and that board are gone, which is next year. I'm ready for a new president. Setien, it looks like he's gone, right? Johnny brought up, for those of you guys who don't read up on this stuff or didn't know, apparently the Barca board visited Quique Setien and to talk about his future, right? Which I don't think bodes very well when you're heading into the summer months, and former players like Pep Guardiola and Xavi are being linked with the job, right? So again, I think it just adds to the instability and just the questionable decisions over the last couple years for Barcelona, right? Johnny, what do you think about it? I think you have a similar perspective to Andres, but you were also kind of playing a devil's advocate, both sides. So how do you feel about it?
I don't know. I didn't think much of it. I think they're very similar players where I don't think Arthur is going to develop, or I don't know, maybe he will. I don't know that either one of them are going to be like that worthy of keeping, that in 4 years you're going to be like, they helped me win right now. So I don't think Barca necessarily loses out on Arthur unless he becomes that player that Juventus have always wanted, Pirlo in the midfield type guy, just like a legendary club player for Juventus. I think everything that I keep looking at though just keeps showing Barca like bad. Barca, like the thing about the move is just like they're doing it in a weird time, and it's just like it's not for footballing purposes. It's more for business purposes, and it's just like I don't know. I will put you this: if Barca somehow wins the Champions League this year, is that all erased, or is that just not even a thought that we're having right now? Because that's how much in the shitter Barca is right now, or are we just a result of the media and we think it's so bad, but in 2 weeks Barca gets hot and then all of a sudden they're killing in the channel. Like, it's a lot of stuff that I don't want to say one thing or another, but I'm not crazy about the move, but I can't say that I hate it. But I do think they're very similar players where it's also kind of like it kind of negates each other. So I don't know. I think that's why the clubs did it. They both thought that they were getting something in return. And I guess Juventus really wanted Arthur. Oh, I do know what I was trying to say. The thing that Barca looks bad is just that Arthur said how much of a dream it was for him to play at Barca, and he would have re-signed how the articles had said that they tried to sign him like in December or something, and he was just like, you know what, I'm going to stay here. But Barca, again, because of the management or the directors, they did no intent to try to re-sign Arthur, to reschedule his contract, because a big part of why he's leaving is because Juve is going to give him a substantial pay raise at Juventus.
Double his salary. Yeah.
So it's really, I guess it really just says that Barca didn't rate him that much, and they're kind of okay with losing him because they think that Pjanic is going to be a good replacement or similar,
Yeah, or that they weren't okay enough with him to turn down a profit.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the reality of it too, right? Here's the thing. If the roles were reversed, I would completely understand it more, right? Because they say that you have to sell a player, before he's 30, right? Or at that age. That's the last time you're going to be able to get anything for him, right? So when clubs sell some of their best assets at an old age, right, you can't get too sentimental about it, right? But that's the thing. Okay, it's debatable if Arthur was going to be what we thought he was going to be or what Barcelona was going to be. But he wasn't necessarily, like, I guess, deteriorating, right? Like Pjanic is now as an investment. Now they're stuck with Pjanic. They're not going to be able to sell him for anything substantial, right? Whereas Arthur, they could have maybe still made, hey, he keeps playing better. That price goes up next year, and if you really wanted to flip him, you could still flip him, right? So I'm not gonna lie, this one has kept me up and is gonna make me I'm gonna be salty about this for a while. But I think I got most of it out of my system. But yeah, I mean, again, nothing against Pjanic. He's a fine player. I just don't think he's the answer. I think we're gonna be destined for at least another year of more slow, predictable build up in the middle, right? That's easily countered and has trouble tracking back to defend, right? It's going to be all De Jong in there now. Because again, Puig has been promising, but I don't think he's the answer right away. So Let us know what you guys think. Those of you guys who are Barcelona fans, or those of you guys who've been keeping up, or maybe you're a Juventus fan, what do you guys think about the Arthur Pjanic swap deal? Am I just being idealistic, romantic, in thinking that football should be about winning titles and not making money? Or am I just being naive and not accepting of the cold reality of modern capitalism and sponsorship and all of that stuff? What do you guys think? Let me know. But I'm definitely, like I said, not happy with it, and I'm going to be salty about it for a while. And anytime Pjanic does fuck up, you will be hearing about it from me, any and every single time. Similarly, as if Arthur does well, I'm going to be talking shit about it too, because I'm going to be salty about it. But yeah, to close the show today, guys, I forgot to mention earlier, Johnny won last week's picks. Johnny back on the board with a W. Johnny got 4 out of 6 last week. Andres, you and I each got 3. So we were at 50%, and Johnny got that fourth one. So yeah, good looking out, Johnny. Good shit. I got to get my stuff together because I haven't won one of these since we've been back. It's been all you guys. So this week we got 6 matches, 2 from the Premier League, 2 from Spain, and 2 from Italy for this weekend. So as we've been doing the last couple weeks, I'll also be giving you guys the time and where you can watch it on American television. Please keep in mind that we are in Central Standard Time here. So for those of you guys in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, anytime I talk, I'm talking Central Standard, Chicago, Illinois. So we'll start with tomorrow, July 1st, in the Premier League. Everton plays Leicester City at noon. And you can watch this on NBCSN or one of the NBC family networks. So Everton versus Leicester. Leicester trying to hold on to that 3rd place. Everton, a historic, solid little squad that's trying to make some noise right now. Who do you guys got? We'll start with Johnny.
I'll take Leicester. I think Everton plays really good sometimes, and then they just throw a stinker. You know, so and I think Leicester has to win. I don't know who's at home. I know it doesn't count as much anymore, but I think Leicester really needs points right now, and hopefully my boy Madison will pull something out of his bag.
All right, who do you got, Andres?
I got a draw for this one.
You've been getting lucky with these draws lately, man.
I can't. Leicester has been drawing, and I think Everton can kind of figure out how to post a low block on these teams. They held Liverpool to a draw, so I'm not sure Leicester has enough to score past them. I'm gonna take the draw here.
All right. I will go with Leicester as well. I think I like their team on paper. Like Johnny said earlier, they have one of the most organized and solid defenses in the Premier League. Kasper Schmeichel's still in the back. And I think now they see that the pressure is on. They haven't kicked on yet since the restart. I think they'll start kicking back up with this match. Then on Thursday in the Premier League, this one looked really juicy, really interesting for a while. But now it doesn't matter. But it should still be a fun match. City will play Liverpool. That's Manchester City versus Liverpool at 2:15 on Thursday, July 2nd, also on NBCSN. We'll start with Andres this time. Who do you got?
I want to say City, but City also has FA and Champions League to worry about. I'm not sure they're going to field a really strong team. Euro's out for the season, it seems like. And Pep is known to do some really crazy lineup, like Bernardo Silva, the false 9. Maybe if Foden plays, we can see something, but I think I'm going to take Liverpool here.
Oof, I'm kind of shocked by that.
Yeah, perfect. I'll take Liverpool too.
man. I don't know. I can't read Klopp. I don't know what he's gonna do for this one. I don't want to say that Liverpool players will get complacent, right? And maybe they want to take it out on City, but I kind of see a draw in this one. I could totally see a draw in this one. So that's what I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick the tie. All right, that does it for England for this week. We move on to Spain on Sunday. Sunday in Spain, guys, is big. All the big matchups for this weekend are on Sunday. Quick reminder, La Liga, you can watch, I think, only on beIN Sports in the States. You can also watch on Futbol TV if you have that streaming service or you get the trial. But this will be on beIN Sport. Villarreal versus Barcelona, 3 p.m. This is in the afternoon on Sunday. I'll start this one. I got to believe that Barcelona bounces back after 2 consecutive draws. This has got to be their last chance. No, not their last chance. That might be gone already, right? But they need to keep the pressure up on Madrid. And Villarreal is cracking the top 6 now, the top 5. They've been climbing up there lately, so they can. Man, now I'm questioning it. No, I'm gonna go.
Did they
Barca.
play today? Did Villarreal play today?
Villarreal most recently beat Valencia 2-0. I'm not sure if they played today, to be honest with you, but they've been in pretty good form.
I'll take a draw.
Another draw.
Barca just hasn't. I don't know. I'm sure they might win, but you got to think that. I don't know. I hope I don't give them a tie and then Barca just falls to pieces, but that's what might happen. But yeah, right. Draw.
And Andres?
I think Barca goes from bad to worse. I think they lose this one. Yeah, I got Villarreal. Paco Alcacer's on that team. Might be the final big FU to Barca.
He did score last weekend too, Alcacer. So you might be on this.
Villarreal had that banger of a goal. Remember, Frankie? They didn't hit the floor.
Oh yeah,
caught it off the bounce.
Yep,
in a volley.
Cazorla with the pass to Gerard Moreno for the rifled it off the half volley, right? Yeah, it was a banger of a goal. Yeah, and Rafa confirmed that Villarreal did not play today, so they'll probably play tomorrow or something. Also on Sunday, we have Athletic Bilbao versus Real Madrid at 7 a.m. This is a tough matchup potentially for Real Madrid, one of their last remaining true tough matchups. We'll start with you, Johnny. You got Athletic or Real?
I got to draw. I got to think Madrid. I got to hope Madrid drops some points, but I don't see that they would lose to Athletic. So I'm going draw.
All right. What do you think, Andres?
I think it's going to be a Madrid win. Barca didn't look too bad against Atleti, and I think Madrid has a little bit more than Barca up top. Asensio is bound to break out, I feel like. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of him in the upcoming weeks. So I think he's going to score, maybe Hazard. Benzema's in good form. I think he's close there.
Scott, Madrid, I am going to go with the draw because, like I said earlier, I do think that Madrid is vulnerable. They are more organized defensively, like Johnny said. But Athletic Bilbao is a dangerous team. You still got Artis Aduriz in his last season. Maybe he wants to go out with a bang against Madrid. Iñaki Williams hasn't missed a match in like 2 seasons for Athletic. That man is an Iron Man, and he's fast as all hell. I can totally see him causing some problems for that back line. And there are some good players on that Athletic team there. So I'm both hoping and can totally see a draw here in what will be one of their final tests as we go down the stretch here. And then we switch to the Calcio and Serie A on Thursday at 12:30. Man, Thursday is going to be a loaded one, guys. We got a couple of important matches. Real Madrid, Getafe, Liverpool, Man City, and now Atalanta versus Napoli. This is going to be at 12:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. For those of you guys who are subscribed to ESPN Plus, it might be on big ESPN as well because there aren't that many sports on right now. But it'll definitely be on ESPN Plus. Atalanta has been shocking teams all season, and Napoli has been bouncing back really nicely. They won the Coppa Italia, and they're on a run in the league now too. So I'll kick this one back to you, Andres. Who do you got, Atalanta or Napoli?
Atalanta.
You're on the Atalanta train, huh?
I like Napoli, but I don't think like Lazio. You could be winning, and all of a sudden you slip up, and Atalanta has that capability just put 3 on you. So they're always a dangerous team, and I think they can probably take advantage of a Napoli team that might not be expecting that.
All right. What do you think, Johnny?
I got Atalanta too. Just sounds like they're gonna win.
Enough said. I actually am going to go for the draw here. While I agree that Atalanta is very dangerous and high scoring, Napoli very recently has been very, very organized. I know how Renato Gattuso is going to organize his team. We know they're going to sit back, very organized with 2 lines of defenders, and they're going to break super fast with possibly Chucky Lozano, who's back in the fold in these last couple games. Dries Mertens has been hot. Callejon. Napoli's always just got these winger / pacey guys who can just really hurt you on the counter, right? I'm forgetting my boy Insigne too, member of the short man union. But he's dangerous there too. So looks like Gattuso is inspiring these guys and getting them to, at the very least, it's not the most attractive. It's certainly not my favorite way to play football, but it's working for them right now.
But you got to think, Atlanta has these guys just literally post up and shoot, bro. That's exactly how you break down a tough defense. Atlanta players are not shy to shoot from anywhere.
That's a good point.
They just pull up and let it rip.
So that's actually a good point. I'm going to hold on to the draw, but I will concede that you bring up some excellent facts. And then finally, we'll finish with the derby in Italy. Juve is hot, 3 for 3 in the league. This weekend, they play their city rivals. They play Torino in the Derby della Madonnina there in Torino. This was on 4th of July on Saturday at 10:15 a.m. on ESPN Plus. You guys got Juve or Grande Torino? Who you got, Johnny?
Juve, CR7 hat trick.
CR7 hat trick.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. I think he's back on the score sheet, but with a PK. I'm going to go Juve too.
Yeah.
I got the draw here.
The draw.
I think we're hyping up Dybala and CR7 too much that we forget they have problems sometimes, and sometimes these problems happen. So I think they're riding a high, and I think they're bound to get a little bit of a. We're all trying to score, but we can't get it inside the net type of game.
Hey, it happens. All right, cool. Well, that wraps up the show pretty much for today, guys. We'll let you know who wins these picks next week. Thanks to everybody who watched live. Quick shout out to my boy Everardo. Thanks for the shout out, bro. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for the love and the positive response. If you guys also like what we talk about, how we talk about it, give us a like, subscribe. Also, subscribe to the Full Heel Network in general for your weekly UFC breakdowns and pro wrestling breakdowns on the weekend. With Rafa. Also want to send a quick shout out to friend of the show, our boy Ryan, on his move back home. We love you, brah. And
shout out to Ryan.
Thanks to the guys here. Thank you, Johnny, for joining us. Thanks, Andres. Thanks, Rafa, for putting this all together as usual. And be on the lookout same time next week. we'll keep you guys posted. We're working on what day is best, so don't be surprised if we switch up the day on you guys. But we figured out how to do this cool premiere thing too, so we'll let you guys know before we go live. So thank you guys again. Watch as many games as you can, and yeah, man, fuck the Barca board. Get out of here.
Happy 4th, motherfucker.
Yeah, happy 4th too. 4th of July. Be safe.